It's been about a month or a little bit over a month since my last video. I need to give you guys a little bit of context on why. It hasn't been because I'm burnt out in any way, shape, or form, and it hasn't been that I don't want to make a video because of the pandemic or any of that. The recent loss of my brother has basically taken all drive away from me to even want to do anything other than spend time with my family, and I feel like this pandemic has been a blessing in disguise in that sense. But also a curse because we haven't really been able to celebrate my brother's life or even have a proper funeral. So I'm going to make a video kind of showcasing my brother from start to finish and kind of talk about maybe where my parents were in the beginning, because right now I'm sitting in front of their first home. My dad had bought back in 1976 and got married to my mom in 1977 and had my brother in 1978. They weren't rich by any means. This is a very small house, and my dad was actually in law enforcement at the time with Wilmington PD for Delaware, and then transferred over to Newcastle County Police Department. I'll insert some photos here. Actually, one of the photos I'm showing right now is actually from, I believe, 1984. He was guarding the Goodyear blimp when it was here in Delaware, which is, it's just so crazy to look back on these things and just reminisce and kind of see your parents through, you know, the eyes that you're kind of going through now. I don't know how old you are that are watching this, or if you can even relate, but looking at this house and seeing kind of where my dad started resonates kind of where I am now and how fortunate we are to be able to be living in a home that I'm living in right now. And I feel like all of us should kind of look at our parents in that way and kind of see the sacrifices that they made. Now we are where it all started for me. At the time, my brother was about 6 years old. I was born, and this is the house that we ended up growing up in. And now it did not look anything like it does right now. I'm gonna insert a photo of what it looked like back then. They ended up inserting these columns here at the end of the driveway. This weird little thing underneath the windows, adding windows, different color roof. That swing set was always there for us to kind of play on. It was super fun. But I do remember this hill being a lot steeper, because as a kid, I would ride my like little trike three-wheel thing down here in bare feet, dragging my feet across here, down and into the little gully, while my mom was smoking a cigarette on the end of that little stoop over there, telling me, no, 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 don't do it. My brother's friends were a lot older than me, obviously, and they would live a few houses down, and everybody would just get together and we would do flashlight tag and capture the flag and all these different fun neighborhood games. And it was always a struggle, just being 6 years, almost 6 years younger than my brother, because he was always way ahead of me and his friends were, you know, older than me, so they didn't really want to hang out with me until we got a lot older. Also, another one of my most fondest memories I ever had was my dad used to drive, I think it was like a Ford Bronco back in the day. Like the police department had Ford Bronco 2-doors, and he used to use that and put a plow on it and plow the neighborhood, plow our driveway, and bring everyone Dunkin' Donuts. And he, what did he call them back then? He called them like Dunkin' Dog Nuts or something, like treats. He would always be like, "Hey Mike, I got treats for you. I got treats for you." It's just really, it's really crazy just to think back on that. It feels like a whole nother life, and it feels very hard to kind of deal with. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't really want to get emotional on camera talking about it, but I kind of want to showcase the life we led and how empty it kind of feels now, and being the only one. So a little bit of finagling and jumping over a fence here. We are at my brother's old high school. This is the track that he pretty much owned. Every single race, every single leg of the race. And this is where it all started. Actually, it's pretty crazy and symbolic right now, and getting a pretty sad wave over top of me right now, because right now where I'm about to stop, right here in the middle of the track, is actually where they shot a photo for the local newspaper back in the day. My brother was such an advocate for running, all right? He used to run over 100 miles a week, no joke, no matter what type of weather it was, rain, snow, shine. And the local newspaper saw them as they were shoveling the track out. This entire track was completely covered with snow, and they shoveled out one line around the entire track. And if you guys have been to a local track, you know how big these things are and how much of a pain in the butt, and actually how dedicated you have to be in order to do this. And it's crazy. There's so many different meets I watched my brother here when I was a kid, and watching him just own people. And I say that with pride. He just owned it. When he came out here, people were always trying to catch up to him. Like when I used to run with him, it was pretty funny. His pace, I guess you would say, where he's just running casual and not even trying to run hard, was my full-on sprint. I could never keep up with him. So my brother's average mile time was ridiculous. And if you guys are running enthusiasts or anything like that, you guys probably know who Prefontaine is. Prefontaine, they actually did a movie about him back in the day, and if you guys haven't watched it, you guys should watch this movie with Jared Leto. It's one of his first movies back in the day. My brother looked up to Prefontaine pretty heavily. And I want to say he kind of modeled his entire running career after him. And I say running career because that's what it was. He wasn't just going to be running in high school. This is where it all started for him. And his career, he was actually on his way to be going to the Olympics.
From what I remember, in his senior year in 1997, he ran about I think 4:17. It was the fastest mile time for the season.
Yeah.
And it was like 4:17. I wanted to say 4:13 might have been his fastest mile time that he was running when he was training with Vic. And they were doing their training runs, and that was up like at Bellevue. He was training after high school. But now, remember, when you say average, that depends on the distance because you're pacing yourself. So in a 5K, his fastest time was like 14 something, like high 14s, like 14:57, 14:50. You know, and on the flat course, I think it was either Bellevue's course, which I'm pretty sure it was, or down here at Love's, one or the other. So, like, you know, I wish I could find one of his road races, as they were like insane thing. So that's about a 5-minute mile average, I think, right? Yeah. And even in the long runs, I think in the 10-miler that he did down in Washington, I went down there with him. Vic, me, and him went down. We spent the night, and we ran that Cherry Blossom run. It was like 20,000 people down there. And they were done. They were like waiting for me forever to finish, you know. And I think Nick was like a little over 5-minute mile. I could probably find that online because they keep those things. He was
5-minute miles, and that was for 10K back then?
Yeah, it was like a little over, maybe like a 5:15, 5:05 or something like that, you know, where I was running about 9-minute miles, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe in my best 5K times, I was averaging 8 something, you know, but for later on, I was always right around 9 minutes. But, yeah, so that was it. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's any times on any of his trophies. It just has place finishes, you know.
I think I'll be able to find, there might be a way for me to find it still online, because I did see, like, I remember shooting him a text like a while ago showing him that you could still see his previous times and records. The records that he still holds to this date, like in some state parks, and even here in track and field. Like Glasgow, he still holds records in this area since 1997.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on Glasgow's track is where I think he had his best time, either there or at Bear Stadium.
And that's why I wanted my dad on here, because my dad shed a bunch of light on my brother's career. And we say career because it didn't end here with high school. Now, I don't have time today to be able to go to all the different locations that my brother ran, but he was running all different cross-country courses through Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, unreal times. I mean, he owned the course. It was only 3 guys between all the high schools that basically were first, second, third. My brother would always battle it out first, second, third. It was such a huge deal at every single track meet and cross-country meet when everybody saw them coming around the corner and you just yelling, come on, come on, come on, come on. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. I've never really been into sports like that. And I was just always super proud to be his brother. I was really proud because I was probably his #1 fan, always looked up to him, wanted to do everything and anything just like him. Certain pair of shoes he got, I had to have them. Certain outfit, the way he wore it, I had to wear it. And I know a lot of you guys might be able to, understand where I'm coming from if you have a brother or a sister and they're older than you and you look up to them because you see their accomplishments and you want to be just like them. You kind of want everyone to look at you the way everyone looks at them. That's kind of how I feel about him, and I always feel about him. But, since I'm sitting here on this track, I got this camera, I might as well make a fool of myself. My brother is probably laughing right now when he sees this. But I'm gonna show you my version of running on this track right here on this little section that's right behind me, the same section that he shot that photo for the local newspaper in the middle of the snow. I'm not gonna be looking as graceful. I'm not really a runner. Now I know that was pretty laughable, but you know, I'm not a runner. My body can't really take the impact from running anymore because my ankles have always been pretty blown out from riding. So hopefully that was a good laugh for everyone. It kind of brought a smile to my face, and knowing that Nick would be laughing at me right now for my running technique, because he was the best. Simple as that, he was the best. So as my brother ended up going on with life, he ended up wanting to take his career to the next level. He was actually training with an ex-Olympian, Vic Zolak. My brother, I don't know why, but for some reason he wanted to do the steeplechase in the Olympics of the year 2000. And he was training on the steeplechase. And for those of you guys who aren't aware what the steeplechase is, it's like a big piece of wood that's about, you know, yay high. And you're running and you plant your foot on that and you have to jump over a section of water and land back on the track. I don't know if my brother thought that like maybe he'd be good at that, like he could take the impact, no idea. But looking back on that, I always thought that was pretty funny because he was always really good at distance running, and I always wondered why he just wouldn't do distance running. And that'll always be a wonder of mine. But if we fast forward the clock quite a bit, going through life, you know, we grew closer and closer together as I got older, because, you know, I was always much younger than my brother, and as we got older, we got closer and closer together. And my brother had his son, and fast forward a few years later, I had my daughter, and we just, you know, talking about growing old and watching our kids grow old. And it's funny that we both dubbed each other Godfather of our children. And I always kind of made fun of the name because, you know, Godfather, the movie. And I always told my brother, I was like, I kind of don't ever want to think about that scenario because I don't want to have to fill the shoes. It would just be an impossible task to try to fill the shoes of another father. And, you know, his widowed wife is going to have to go through the process of carrying on without her husband and kind of teaching her son how to deal with that as well. So in the description below, I've attached a GoFundMe account. Whether it's $1 or no matter what you can donate, it'd be greatly appreciated. It's going to go to my brother's family. I'm going to be doing another video here, I'd say probably 10 weeks or so, on this same topic. I'm going to do videos, you know, periodically, but I'm going to do a video on this topic again once all the stuff comes back from the medical examiner's office and the toxicology report, because given this whole COVID thing, we haven't been able to get any information back. We actually haven't been able to really have a proper funeral or any celebration of life. It's been really, really difficult. Once we get all the information back, I'll be able to talk to you guys a little bit more about the cause of death. As of right now, we just know that, you know, he was unresponsive and, you know, went in his sleep of some way. And it's heart-wrenching and it hurts because you want closure, you know, and it's not easy to deal with. So in the meantime, I'm gonna be trying to do videos for you guys, you know, as I can see fit. But, you know, given this whole COVID situation, it's kind of difficult because the wife and I are still both essential personnel and the kid is home from daycare. I also want to make sure I have enough family time and I'm, you know, treating myself right, because I have to make sure I'm okay. You know, because I'm going through this, you kind of put on a mask for the rest of your family and you kind of want to make sure that they're doing good, and you got to be the strongest person you possibly can be. So I hope this resonated with some people and helped them probably deal with loss in their own way, whether it even be through this COVID process, because that's what's really been the most difficult portion of this, because we haven't been able to celebrate or see any of our friends or even hug each other or love each other, except for the rare occasion, you know, when I'm seeing my nephew through this whole process. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your support, your continued support, all you new subscribers. If you guys are looking for bike riding videos, they'll come. They'll be here eventually. I really appreciate you guys tuning into the channel. I'm going to close this video out with some fun family time with the kids.
Oh man, Nick's gonna sleep good tonight. They're gonna sleep so good.
Slow, take your time, take your time. Yeah, please do left it. Please under the ladder. I'm so trying to come past. What train come past? What train come past?
That's hair, dude. Come on. I'm a little frightened. Yeah. Hold on to it tight. I don't want to pull the trigger. God, I love it. Hold on, wait.
Like,
Say it again.
hello.
Say hi, Uncle Mike.
Hello.